Morning, everyone. Welcome to the Daily Faith Builder. Hope you're well this morning. What is the purpose of suffering? Suffering is a universal human experience. We all have to deal with it. Right now, we're all dealing in one way or another with some kind of trial with this coronavirus, whether it's our health, whether it's relationships, finances, job, just uncertainty itself provides a great sense of suffering. But what is the purpose of suffering? C.S. Lewis has said this. He says that we can't, there's no way of avoiding suffering, obviously, in this world, and we try to exclude the possibility of suffering, and we find that we've excluded life itself. It is just built into life, and we have to be able to really understand the source and the purpose of suffering. It is the only way that ultimately that we'll have our soul really come alive to understand God and his purposes in the world, and ultimately what he's done for us on the cross through sending Jesus for us in all that. But suffering will either move us ultimately towards God, or it will move us away from God. Really, there's not kind of a gray zone here. Is that suffering is either going to move us towards him, trusting him more, or it's going to move us away from God. It is wilderness trials. It is those tough times in life where our faith is tested, and to see if we're going to lean in or if our hearts are going to harden. And many of us, I think, have had the experience where something's happened in life. It could be some kind of suffering or trial or something, and we've just kind of internally had it out with God, and we've just kind of, maybe we didn't blatantly say it, but we ran really from God. And that caused a real block, a hardness in our heart and our relationship with him. I think for many of us, especially maybe during this time, as this goes on, this coronavirus thing is, boy, are our hearts staying soft? Are they staying pliable before God? Are we trusting him and not allowing our hearts to get hard? Two primary things that move the human soul from its apathy and from its laziness are suffering and beauty. The two universal things that will wake us up, that get really connect quickly to our soul, is suffering and beauty. Now, we can overlook beauty, but we can't really overlook suffering in our lives. And this is C.S. Lewis again. This is a famous quote. You've probably heard it before, but Lewis says this: "We can ignore even pleasure, but pain insists upon being attended to. God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts to us in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world." I think we can all relate to that. Yes, suffering it's a megaphone right into our soul, trying to wake us up to God and to seek him rather than running from him. We're just becoming hard and angry. Suffering changes the human heart. Either way, like I said, suffering's either going to move us away from God, or it's going to move us towards him. Our heart is going to be changed in the process somehow. When trauma and tragedy strike, it creates a crisis of faith that will either move us deeper into relationship, or it will harden our hearts, as we've been saying. If we want to understand suffering, we must allow it to move us right towards God. Frederick Buechner said this, giving you a lot of quotes this morning: "We are never more alive to life than when it hurts." It's a good line, isn't it? We're never more alive in life when it hurts. More aware both of our own powerlessness to save ourselves and of at least the possibility of a power beyond ourselves to save us and heal us if we can only open ourselves to it. Boy, what a beautiful quote. Just this idea of that we're never more alive to life than when it hurts. The question is, are we open to God in these times? And is there something that's happened either now or in the past that we've moved the other way, that we need to restore and come back to him? I love Randy Alcorn's statement. He says, "Suffering is, in the end, it is God's invitation to trust him." In the end, suffering it's God's invitation to come trust him and learn from him and grow up in him. Hope this encouraged you this morning. God bless.